I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Bellevue, Washington at the All-British Field Meet. You're going to get a chance to see some pretty neat British cars. You're going to see some real high-buck cars. You're going to see some everyman cars, meet some really nice people. So you know what I tell you every week, just kick back, relax, get real comfortable, and enjoy the show. The best thing that you're seeing in this shot is a 1926 Bentley 6.5 liter owned by Walt Carroll. Hey, Walt, this is a fantastic car.
Thank you, sir.
This car is about 3 times older than you, so how did you come to be the owner of this?
Well, I got it from a broker in Kirkland. I had a Derby Bentley before I owned it, and a friend of mine got me infected with Bentleys some years ago, so I've had them for quite a while now.
Some guys your age, they're driving 56 Chevs with blowers sticking out of the hood. What got you interested in this part of the hobby?
Well, I've always had eccentric cars. When my buddies in high school had 409s and Roadrunners, I had VWs and Porsches.
So were you seen as some sophisticated, exotic guy, or were you seen as an oddball?
Probably more oddball than sophisticated, but I had a lot of fun with it.
So is this something that is just a wrestling match to take out and drive around, or is it an easy thing to drive up to this show or any other show, or just go cruising on the freeway with?
Well, it's a rather pleasant car to drive if you have some of the knacks to it. Once you get under speed, it steers fairly lightly. It'll drift just like a regular sports car, which is what it was. The transmission is just big straight cut gears, so it takes a little knack to do that. When I was a kid, I worked for a farmer who had an old Rio truck, and it shifts and drives just about the same as that Rio truck.
Do you get a lot of thumbs up or a lot of blank shock stares?
A lot of people are really excited when they see it. Most of them don't know what it is. Most of them figure it's either a Buick or a Bugatti. But, you know, that's cool, too. And I probably get the most positive reactions from the motorcyclists. And I don't know whether it's the wire wheels or the leather helmet I wear, but they seem to identify with the car.
Yeah, it sort of is like a huge motorcycle.
Yeah.
The history of this, do you know how far back it goes?
These cars all come with huge documented history. I have probably 6 or 8 inches of paper that came with the thing. This particular car was built in 1926. It's the 12th 6.5 they made. They made about 500 of them. This is the 3rd or 4th body it's carried. The first body was a big, ugly sedan that fortunately the guy wrecked. And then another sedan body was put on it, and this is either the 3rd or the 4th body it's had.
Do you realize in 100 years somebody's going to be referring back to this guy that owned it a long time ago, and that'll be you?
Well, see, nobody ever owns one of these. I'm the current custodian of this automobile. And it probably owns me more than I own it.
Walt, that is a whole lot of motor in this. That motor is the size of some cars we've had on the show.
Well, the motor is a 6.5 liter 6-cylinder designed by Bentley. It has an overhead cam and 4 valves per cylinder. It's a headless block. which means it's one piece. There's a whole lot of aluminum in there, which one of the reasons they're as rare as they are is a lot of them were turned into Spitfires for World War II. It produces about 200 horsepower. You know, this particular car started out as a regular 6.5 at about 140 horsepower, but was rebuilt as a Speed 6 later on with the twin carburetors.
Top speed on this is what?
Probably about 120.
And you've had it up to?
A little over 90. It saw 80 today on the way in.
If one of our viewers is watching and they're thinking, you know, it's time to step up to a Bentley, what advice would you give them?
Do it.
You heard him. Do it. Thanks, Walt.
Sure.
Chris Roos, this is really a fun car, a hard-to-miss car, a bright yellow 1960 Sprite. How did you come to be the owner of this?
Well, it actually belonged to my aunt, and through a number of different things, she needed somebody to get it running for her and a place to store it, and I ended up as a partner and then finally owning the car completely. So
I don't own a sports car, but I know there's probably certain rules within the community, and one of them is you can't use it for like an RV or whatever you've got going on here. Aren't you breaking some rules?
not as far as I'm concerned.
Am I correct that when Austin Healey put these things out, they thought they would be kind of let's get people started in the sports car hobby and get them started with this, but they ended up kind of taking off on their own and being just as popular as a lot of other sports cars?
That's my understanding. It was designed to be an inexpensive entry-level car. And if you look at the cars, they're very basic. There's no outside door handles, no trunk lid, nothing extra in the car at all, except what you need. It's got, it's very easy to drive, very forgiving, works well. I've had this on autocross courses, and it's great fun. It's like driving a roller skate.
So performance-wise, it keeps right up with some of the more traditional sports cars?
Well, speed-wise, probably not. They were a little underpowered from the factory. This one actually has an engine and running gear out of a later model Sprite, so it's a much more roadable car than what they were factory. But still fun.
Since there's so few of these on the road, what kind of reaction do you get from people? I mean, do most people understand what it is, or a lot of people say, what is that?
A lot of people, I used to have one of those. A lot of people, what is that? Or is that a kit car? Or the best are kids, though. Kids just love them. They laugh and point, and they're looking at a cartoon character driving down the road. So
a lot of thumbs up from them.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing when you think of British cars? A red Austin Healey, of course. Well, I found one. Andy Cox here. Andy, this is a gorgeous car.
Thank you very much.
How long have you owned it?
It's been in my family since it was new.
So Mom and Dad had this, and so...
Yeah, my father bought it in England. He was a serviceman in England and bought it in 1955.
So you had one of those, what we used to refer to as a really cool dad.
I did. And so I have here a sort of a midlife situation where I've got a car and a family all tied up in one.
Mm-hmm. Did it go through a restoration process?
Yes, it did. In about 1987, I started restoring it. It had a lot of rust, and the paint had deteriorated. The interior was kind of falling apart, and so I took it down to the frame, and with help from a lot of folks around here in Seattle, restored it and then put it back together.
I think of a 55 or that era being really kind of the rough and tumble sports car. This is the real deal kind of car.
Yeah, this car is particularly interesting, I think, because it's one of the first that has a real modern feel to it. It has a real, some think, an Italian-looking body, but under the skin it's kind of a utilitarian English production car running gear. So it was a car that was of an appeal to people who wanted a real sports car, but it wasn't as expensive as, let's say, a Jaguar. And so it had a great deal of popularity, particularly with servicemen overseas.
Andy, this looks like it falls into the category of really easy to work on. Is that true?
It is. It's a very Spartan vehicle, and unlike today's cars, there's a lot of room around the engine, so you can access things like the oil filter, the spark plugs. So it is much easier than today's engines.
Mm-hmm. Performance on this, is it just mainly it's great for going around corners, but the straightaway it's a little slower, or does it take care of itself in that situation?
Well, it takes care of itself. It's about a 90 horsepower engine, and in this car, that's sufficient to make the top speed just over 100 miles an hour, and that in fact is why they named the car the Model 100, because it had that speed ability.
Andy, this is a beautiful car, and I have one more question to ask you.
Okay.
This is just a hunch, but is it true that red Austin Healey's or any red sports car is a babe magnet?
You'd have to ask my wife.
Maybe we better not. All right, thank you, Andy.
Thank you very much.
This is the all-British field meet that we're at, but a few cars from Australia apparently have snuck in here. Peter, tell me a little bit about your 1968 Morris Cooper S.
Yes, this is an Australian car. It was in Brisbane till about 5 years ago when the previous owner found it in a field and restored it and then brought it over here.
The restoration process, what all did you do to the car?
Actually, the previous owner did the car and he did everything. It was a bare shell when he got it, so he had to rebuild it from scratch. And I've really just been keeping care of it, polishing it and having fun.
Did they have an actual manufacturing plant there, or did all the parts get shipped from England and put together there? What degree was the construction in Australia originally?
There's a few parts that are specific to Australia. The rear lights are different, a few things on the body. So mainly they ship the parts in from England and put just Australian glass in. And the doors are different. They have rolling windows instead of sliding windows because of the hotter climate, probably.
My brother used to live in Australia, and he said that these were kind of the 57 Chev there for the young guys. Is that the case?
Probably, though I don't know the 57 Chevs. I'm an English, dual national English Australian, so an English Australian car is just perfect for me.
So an English guy at an English car meet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. The gentleman standing next to you, I believe your name is Owen, is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you ever drive this car?
No.
Do you think you're going to get a chance to here pretty quick?
Oh, no.
And if you could do any one thing to this car, if it was your car and you could do one more thing to it, what would it be?
Change the oil.
Change the oil. Very good advice. That's good advice from Owen. Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Carl Keck was nice enough to give me a ride in his 1953 MG TD at the opening of the show. Carl, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
Tell us a little bit about the car. To begin with, I know there's TDs and TCs, and what's the difference between all of those?
Oh boy, I'd say the TCs have a 17-inch narrow kind of wire wheel, a little higher setting, and then the TDs. They quit making the wire wheels, put the solid steel wheels on it, and then I think people didn't like that. And when they went back to the TFs, then they started putting wire wheels on as an option.
This particular body style seems to me to be the body style that people think of when they started realizing that MGs were arriving in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Right after the war, everybody coming back from England and Europe, and they saw the little sports cars over there, and this was pretty much the first thing, because I guess they started in 50. When was the war over? Like 45 or something like that. So TCs and TDs were kind of the first.
What's the cubic inch and horsepower on the motor?
Oh boy, I don't know the cubic inch right offhand, but it's 54 horse.
And that's
a powerhouse.
Yeah. Is that enough, or you have to learn how to go through the gears pretty well?
Yeah, it really could be a little more. You're just used to more horsepower nowadays, and 54 horse might have been great in 1950, but it's kind of lacking. I mean, on the highway, go about 60 miles an hour at about 4,000 RPM, and that's where it likes to cruise. So you're kind of in the back of the bunch.
Well, Carl, we appreciate you taking the time to tell us about your car, and I especially appreciate the ride.
Hey, you're welcome.
All right, thanks, Carl.
Thanks a lot.
We have had a fantastic time here at the All-British Field Meet in Bellevue, Washington. We'd like to thank Arnie Taub for inviting us out here. Thank you to all the owners and drivers that shared the information about their cars.
Hi there, this is Christiana Mappa coming to you from sunny and notably hot Burbank, California at the John Burroughs Car Show. Today we are going to walk around and talk to owners of fabulous vehicles like the one behind me that looks like it came out of a 1930s movie. There are so many great cars here, I can't even explain the excitement. I mean, people here love their cars, and they are literally works of art. So come join me as we walk around the car show and look at some great vintage vehicles. are here with Jan Hardy, owner of the fabulous 1969 Mini Austin Mini Limo, I suppose we should say. Now, Jan, this car actually is made up of 3 Austin Mini Coopers into one fabulous mini limousine, right?
That's correct. Quite a project. I hunted the car and I knew the owner for 5 years. He swore he would never sell the car, but late last year he told me that he had an opportunity to purchase the home that he was living in England, and he offered the car to me to purchase it, and I did. So he parted with it, and I'm the proud new papa.
And you are a happy owner.
Very happy.
Now, I understand that Rolls-Royce actually started producing this particular piece, and there are other knockoffs, but this is the original mini limo produced by Rolls-Royce and then by Jaguar.
That's correct. He was a fabricator for limousines for Rolls-Royce, so they took on the project as a challenge back in late 1993. So there's approximately 4,000 man-hours into the car.
Wow.
And the design work. It was challenged because of the floor pan and the length of the wheelbase. The actual wheelbase of this car is 118 inches. So it's about the length of a full-size SUV, American SUV.
Wow. Well, so this car draws a lot of attention, folks. Jan Hardy, I'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for showing us this lovely mini limo, and perhaps maybe someday we can all take a ride in it and go out to a fancy dinner. We are here with Jim and Judy Gascoigne, who actually have won 70 awards between these 2 cars behind me, a 57 Chevy truck and a 57 Chevy Bel Air. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about what you did to bring these cars to the fantastic condition that they're in?
Well, I can start off by telling you that when we bought the Bel Air 6 years ago, it was almost as you see it. I've added some things and subtracted some things as we went along. And then the maintenance and the polishing, and that's the big part of it, keeping it running. They never get trailered. They get driven wherever we go. And we've had this one 3 years, and this one here is the same exact thing. I had to go through this one all the way because of the fact that when I bought it, it wasn't running very good. It was leaking from everywhere and had to go through the whole thing. But as you can see, it looks pretty good now.
Oh, well, they look great. So this has taken a lot of work. Where did your interest originate in vintage cars?
Many years ago, I've liked this, but you know, as you grow up, you have kids, and they come number one, and you have to wait till you get the kids out of the house, and then you go from there.
Thanks again, Jim and Judy, for joining us.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And we'll be right back here in Burbank, California, to look at some more vintage vehicles. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you for joining me here in Burbank, California at the John Burroughs Car Show. See you next time.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
Let's try that one again.